You can find this at www.wideband.com. We'll open them up and show you what's inside. Okay, inside everything is very nicely packaged. Okay, they take a lot of care in their packaging. It's really nice to have when it shows up at your door and you know that it's been taken care of. Get a nice sticker here also to probably put on side of my air compressor or something. And we'll open up and show you the individual parts. All the components have been unwrapped, and I tell you they did a really good job wrapping them up. I was very impressed with that. I can't say enough of how happy I was with the shipping, because I've had things show up just with no packaging at all, and this is certainly not the case. So I'm very happy about that. Now, with all the components, we'll go through them here one by one. One of the most important here is the wideband sensor itself. They give you a Bosch sensor. Okay, this is a very good one. It's been proven many times, and as you can see, it's just plug and play on this end. No wiring involved, and so this is the part that we're going to actually screw into the exhaust of the car. With that, they've given us the bung. Okay, this is, you have to pretty much drill a hole inside of the exhaust pipe and weld this in place so you have a port for this to screw into. Okay, and then that's going to go inside the exhaust at about a 10-degree angle this way, so no condensation builds up on it. Any water condensation would drop down. Okay, so that's a very important aspect, and this itself is a very nice one as well. Okay, it's going to do the job just perfect. This is the actual gauge itself. It looks really nice, has a nice white face. And then you have a digital readout of your air-fuel ratio in the middle, and then an analog sweeping digital readout. Both of those are done through LEDs. As you can see, the range on this is from 9 to 19. This is the cable that will connect into the back of the actual gauge. Right here, as you can see, it's already been pre-wired. Easy installation, you just plug that part of it in. And same with the wire that comes off and will connect to the wideband sensor itself. Already been pre-wired, so it's just plug and play. The part that you will have to wire up is over on this end, and it gives you 5 different cables. So coming off of this wire that's plugged into the back of the gauge, these are the 5 wires that you'll have. And so, just to explain what they are, the orange is for a narrow band. That's kind of the sensors that are already going into your exhaust, though 2 sensors. The red is the power, the black is the ground. The green one is a 9600 8N1 serial that can be connected to your computer, your PC, personal computer. And then the white one, if you wanted to have a data logger or air fuel ratio gauge, like multiple ones, you can add that one in for a 0 to 5 volt output. So if you're not planning to use some of those, you can just cap them off, and that's probably what we might do. And this way you have just the simple air to fuel ratio. What's really cool about this wideband controller is that first of all, it's very simple to install. This just plugs into the wideband that's already screwed into the exhaust pipe. Over here you have just the power and the ground, and then they already have this pre-wired for you. And what this is where you're going to actually see your readout. Okay, so the gauge style, you have a big gauge that you either put in here kind of on a pillar like this, or up here on the column. And for somebody who doesn't really want to have that, you can install just this digital readout. So what you can do if you wanted to is take your gauges, take this out completely, and if you wanted to cut a little square out right here or wherever you wanted to be able to see the readout, then you could just install this nice small little digital readout, and then you have a wideband right on your instrument gauges. Because one thing I've noticed is I'm going wide open throttle is it's kind of hard to look around and keep track of all the important stuff. And if you're already going to be looking here at your tachometer, it's really nice to be able to have the gauge already right there where you're already looking.
So here's the wideband sensor. It's plugged into the provided wideband port bung that they give us. And as you can see, everything's been tied up underneath here. If you want to see how it's been installed, watch my other install video. But anyway, there's the wideband sensor going into the exhaust.
Okay, I'm out here in the middle of nowhere. I've driven out here so I know the wideband sensor is warmed up and everything is accurate. And so I'm going to go ahead and start the car. Now, as you can see, the gauge appears to be flashing, but that's just the camera. It's a very nice blue digital readout and looks really nice. As you can see, the gauge sweeps from 19 down to 9. And when you're just idling, sitting at normal, your gauge is going to be around the 14.5 range. That's kind of normal. As you start driving, that's when you're going to see a lot of this change. As you rev the engine up, you'll notice it changes. Okay. Now on acceleration, or when the engine is increasing its speed, it will go more rich, and then if you let go of the gas pedal, as the car's in vacuum, you'll see it go very lean. That's not going to hurt the engine. That's how the engine normally works. Okay. But one of the reasons why it's very important to have this gauge is to know what the engine's doing, normal driving, and also under wide open throttle, okay, full acceleration. This car itself has a different tune on it. Okay, the tune that it has is from an outside company who emailed it to me after I told them what modifications I had to the car. So it's very important after you have a tune like that emailed to you to know how the car is really running, because they're really making the tune off of a car halfway across the country and giving you that same tune. So to have a gauge like this is very good to make sure your car's not running too rich or too lean. Running too lean is the dangerous part, where you're on this other part of the gauge, anything pretty much 14 or higher on a naturally aspirated engine that's not supercharged or turbocharged. Anything over 14, 15 under wide open throttle means that you're running the car lean, which means the engine is running very hot and could potentially melt the engine. Too rich, on the other hand, would be anything kind of lower than about 12. Factory cars run about 12 to 13 naturally aspirated. That's where your ratio should be. So I know that the tune that I was sent is rich, because when I would let go of the gas under wide open throttle, I'd have a little bit of a pop come from the exhaust, and it would actually shoot flames out. So I know that this car is running a little bit rich. I'm going to see exactly how rich it is now. I'm going to do a wide open throttle pull here. Remember, it should be about 13 on our gauge here. So we'll see what she does now that I have a wideband. Running a little bit rich there. That's because the tune that was sent to me was probably sent to be conservative, so they don't melt the engine. The only bad part about that is I'm not getting the entire performance out of the car, and by running rich, you're also more likely to foul up your spark plugs and sensors, including this new wideband sensor we gave. So I'm really glad that I have this installed so I know how the car's running. One of the very important reasons to have this sensor is if you're really serious about your car and you're going to go have it dyno tuned and take it into the shop to have it tuned on the rollers, where we have installed our wideband bung, that port can now be used by them when they're tuning it. Otherwise, the only thing they can do is put their sniffer, their wideband sensor, into your tailpipe at the very end. So we know that that's not going to be very accurate. In fact, on my Cobra, I have the dyno sheet, and it says that it was supposed to be right at the air-fuel ratio it was supposed to be, but the wideband's telling me it's running a little bit rich. And the reason for that is because I did not have the wideband on the car at the time, and so they couldn't get an accurate reading. They were going off the tailpipe. So companies, where you go get your car dyno tuned, if they're giving you a reading off the tailpipe, that number has to be a good number, and it's not going to be very accurate. It'll be more lean by the time it gets to the tailpipe, and so your tune will be more rich. So I'm really glad that I have this wideband installed, because now I know exactly what my car is doing. Under normal driving like this, it looks like everything's fine. Under wide open throttle, I can tell I'm running a little bit rich, which I was kind of suspecting that, but never knew. And now I can safely run my car. Remember that the numbers that we're looking for are under wide open throttle. So if you see it hit 15, 16, let go of the gas, it's gonna go up a little higher. It'll go to 19 under vacuum. So don't be alarmed about that. This is mainly under wide open throttle is where you need to be hitting the certain number of about 13 to 13.5 on a naturally aspirated car, and somewhere in the 11.2 range on a supercharged or turbocharged car. So those are the numbers you're looking for, and with a wideband like this properly installed, we know what the car is doing. Now, the tune that was put on this car came out to be a little bit rich. But what would happen if it was running lean under wide open throttle? I'll tell you, my twin brother has a Mustang Bullet, and he destroyed his engine at the track because his ran too lean from what he thinks was the tune that was emailed to him. Okay, so you can see the importance of monitoring the systems correctly, and how much value this simple gauge has. If I were riding this car full, wide open throttle and saw that it was lean, I would put my foot out of it and stop running it. And so that's something that you need to think about. Is if you care about your engine and you care about what your car is really doing, a wideband gauge like this is a must. So if I had a car that was high performance like this, and I was going to go run it really hard, and I had just built it from the ground up and put a lot of money into it, I would not do it without having a wideband like this. Let's say I went and took the car out for a spin, went wide open throttle, and destroyed my whole engine. Okay, is that worth it? When you could buy a very affordable and very nice gauge like this, and be monitoring what your engine's doing. Okay, it's common sense to me to be putting a gauge like this on any car that you're going to be running hard. It doesn't matter if it's supercharged, turbocharged, naturally aspirated, nitrous. You need to be monitoring what the engine's doing with an air-fuel gauge. Okay, because that's one of the main ways you can destroy your engine, is running it too lean. And when you start doing that, you have the possibility of engine detonation with the fuel, as a too lean mixture can pre-detonate fuel. But any kind of modifications you do to your car, you need to be paying attention to what the air-fuel ratio is. This brand wideband, I'm very impressed with it. It showed up very well packaged. They take a lot of care and consideration in their product. It plugged in and turned on the very first try without any issues, and I can tell that it's a very accurate setup, so I'm very happy with it, and I would strongly recommend it. If you have an engine that you care about, whether it's a full performance engine or just a regular engine that you're going to be running at wide open throttle, then this is a must. I would not run a car without it.